Greetings again, and hopefully if people are redirected from the old page, which I have not um, done yet, they will come over to the new event page and be able to comment and actually see the live stream. So let's do that real quick. I'll just take this moment to message everybody. Well, I'm having all kinds of fun issues at the moment.
I posted it on the old thread as well, Roland.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. And we have it doesn't even show that we've gone live.
I'm showing live.
Live.
Is it feeding into the public viewing?
Good morning, and this Hangout is live. Welcome to What is the Positive? The short
Okay, and one more thing, I'm going to place it in the event details, and then we'll be ready to go.
Okay, and one more thing I'm going to place.
Do I have
That's
sound?
a real good sound. Okay, now let me post that, and we should be good to go. And let's give it a few moments to see if anybody comes over from the other page, and we'll see if we can effectively redirect everybody. There's a couple people out there actually. So WeWake will probably show up. Barbara Quick is probably making her way over to the new page also, so we'll see what happens. And let me get onto the new page. Okay, there's a couple people there. And thank you very much, my people in the green room, for walking with me through this interesting journey that Google Hangouts is imposing upon so many of the show hosts nowadays. Well, so we're going to basically start all over again, and took us 8 minutes to relocate. That's not too bad considering all the hoops that we jumped through. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. What is the positive? We're guaranteed to go a little bit overtime today since we're starting so late, and it has to do with the glitches that Google Plus is handing us, and we'll contend with them the best we can. But in the meantime, we make do with what we've got. So here we are. My name is Roland, and I'm the host of What is the Positive, and I have my co-hosts joining me today in the green room. And very quickly, we'll say hi to Carlos Savio. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Carlos Savio in Las Vegas. I've just taken my roller skates off. Nice to be here.
Thank you, Carlo. Also with us is George Stewart. Say hi, George.
Hey, everybody. Good day. This is George, world traveler, and here to be support as best I can. I'm still learning, as we commented before.
Thank you. And also our featured speaker today, this is Shira Hunt. Say hi, Shira.
Hi, this is Shira. I'm a vibrational medicine teacher and therapist. I use sound and frequency in healing, and I'm just excited to be here today.
Okay, thank you. And let's see, I've been struggling to get my own lower third up there. There it is. And I've been looking forward to this since the inception of the concept of what is the positive, because when I formulated the show, one of the first people I thought of as a co-host or a green room attendee was Shira, because she deals with the real life vibrations that I deal with philosophically all the time. And so we bring the flesh and bones, if you will, to the actual structure of what frequency and these things, vibration, have to do with the human existence. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And without it getting into it too deeply, the one quote that I mentioned earlier in the Abraham series was this: "It usually takes about 30 days to change a habit. Not because you need 30 days. You could do it in 68 seconds if you could, once you did it, hold your vibration there, but you have to consciously make that decision." So it brings to mind that we could do anything that we wanted to a lot faster if we could really focus on the vibration and hold. In other words, align ourselves with the vibration. That's the whole idea. We're aligning ourselves with the vibration of what we want to achieve or what we want to be. And in this case, we have other methods and methodologies that can also assist us, and that's one of them that we're going to be speaking about today: vibrational therapy. So as a premise to vibrational therapy, we know that there are things with sound that make us happy. Singing, humming, whistling, tapping your feet, listening to your favorite channel of music or listening to your favorite band. And when you listen to that type of stuff, the sound, you become happy, or you're in the groove, or you like what's going on. Oh, wow, we got Gail Powell joined us in the green room. So I guess I might have posted the wrong link, and we had her join in. So Gail, that's just fine, and welcome to the green room. And you're kind of an unexpected guest, but let's find out, because you're one of Shira's constituents, and she knows you well. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing with Shira.
I'm working with Shira for healing of my body, and working with her through the sound frequencies in the songs, and it's been really very interesting process, and I'm really enjoying it.
Me too. And as a matter of fact, I'm doing the same thing. I guess I've got 6 CDs from you now, and here's the one I just got today, which was a recording generated from my own voice, and so there's an actual cycle of what goes on with the therapy, and Shira's going to explain to you all about that today. And right now, I'm going to turn it over to you, Shira, so you can get started and explain to people what we are talking about. Go ahead.
Sure thing. Thank you, Roland. So this is kind of exciting. We have new people in the green room and all kinds of wonderful things happening. But ultimately, I want to touch a little bit on one of the first things that you shared about the 30 days. And I actually use 21 days in the therapy that I do. And the reason that I do that is because of a study that was done that I uncovered very early in my research about astronauts. And so I just want to share that really quick study before we get into how I moved into this work and how I use it. But that study, they put a set of glasses on the astronauts that flipped their vision upside down. And what they actually were doing was they were training the astronauts to deal and cope with really unusual spaces, because they were going to be in a no-gravity environment where they could be completely upside down, turned around all over the place. So they were training their brain to find a comfort space with their world being upside down. What happened was, right around 21 days for all these astronauts who were in this training program, right around the 21-day process, their vision, their brain flipped the image with the glasses still on, righted their vision for them. So it took about that long for the brain to figure out what it had to do to fix what was a perceivable problem, the way it wanted to see its world. So in that what they determined after that was they took the glasses off, and the astronaut's vision was upside down. So then it took another 21 days for the brain to write again. So it's really interesting to me how the mechanisms of the brain work. And as you were saying, if we could hold the frequency, if we could hold that process, then we wouldn't need any amount of time to change the process. But so much of our days are spent unconscious rather than conscious. You know, holding that conscious process takes a lot of work. So here's how I got into the work. To start with, I had a car accident in 2000, and the medical institutions did not believe I could heal my right lower leg. And their feeling was that it was far too damaged. I had, you know what, Gail, can I ask you to mute your microphone? Most of us will mute when we're not actually talking. I'm getting some feedback sound, so I don't know. It's up on top where I usually mute
I'll take
mine.
care of it. Oh, she's got it. Okay, good.
Oh, thank you, Gail. Thank you. I think I'm hearing, because I was hearing you drink too, so I'm hearing. For some reason, I got a deep connection with you, Gail. so it's all good, and I don't mind that. Okay, but anyways, I had a car accident in 2000. I damaged the right side of my body. The right lower leg was so bad that the medical institutions did not believe it could heal, and they recommended amputation below the knee, and I couldn't do that, and I refused, and I asked them to put the bones back together. So they reapproximated them as best they could, and they attached them to a titanium plate that ran down the forefront of my leg. And after 6 months of being in that surgical space, nothing was happening. I had no new bone tissue, and they had been filling me full of antibiotics because I had a hole in the front of my leg where those bones had exited during the accident. And they said they were going to take me off the antibiotics, that they were stopping that treatment, and that I was either going to probably get gangrene or sepsis and die from this if I didn't amputate. So I asked for 1 more month, and during that month of research was when I found frequency work. And the frequency work originally came to me via a portable ultrasound machine. It was a little machine set at the frequency of bone. And at that time, as a nurse, I had no clue that the bone even had a frequency or what that meant. So there are a lot of aspects that we can use in healing that we're not taught about, we're not told about. It's not free information for people. And I think this is one of the first things that I want to bring to everybody today, is the power that they have to do their own healing via sound and frequency. So what ended up happening when I started the ultrasound machine, within about 3 weeks of using that machine daily, so what was happening was it was entraining the frequency of bone. It was sending an electromagnetic wave pattern in the frequency of bone into my leg. And what that was doing was igniting that frequency in my body so that my body could learn to recreate that frequency. So it was in training or teaching my body that frequency in a place where it needed it, because I was devoid it because of the breaks at that time. It took 2 years for me to get enough bone to stand on, so it was not a fast process. I think that was necessary for me. I was on a deep spiritual journey, and there was a lot that I needed to learn. So during that 2 years time of healing, I got enough bone back to stand on, and I learned about this frequency work. During the process, she was a healing touch practitioner who was coming to work on me about every 3 weeks, and she was a friend of mine, and she was doing treatments on me. And she was bringing crystal bowls, and that's what you see in the background behind me here are crystal bowls. And one time she came with a crystal bowl, and she played the crystal bowl, and it made the same sensation in my leg that the ultrasound machine made. I really had no sensation in the lower leg, except for when I put the ultrasound machine on after the car accident. I had a lot of damage in there, including nerve damage, and so the ultrasound machine produced a particular feeling. It was almost like bugs crawling inside my leg. The bowl that she was using that day did the same thing, and that's when I discovered that the frequency of that bowl was the frequency of bone. And that sent me on research. What does that mean? How does that work? What is that about? And if that bowl was the frequency of bone, what were all the other bowls the frequency of? So it started a litany of questions and research and just, exploration into this work. So I now use the sound because it has the same effect as ultrasonic waves and many other kinds of frequency too. I mean, frequency is across the board. I mean, colors, shapes, food, nutrition, crystals, aromatherapy, flower essences, they all have frequencies. They can all be used in treatment and healing. But sound is easy. And sound is easy because we have really simple access to it. And I want to share a couple of studies with you that will help you understand the power of sound related to your physical body. So, to set the groundwork for the scientific evidence around the frequency work, there are so many studies out there right now, it will boggle your brain, but I want to share just a few that I kind of turned Roland onto, and he listed a couple links if you happened onto his Google Plus advertisements. You would have seen 2 links on YouTube. One of them was by a man called Peter Davey. Now, the thing I love about Peter Davey is that his research was done in 1880s. It was like 1888, not 1980, but 1880. So this work has been around a long time. And Peter Davey actually took 2 bicycle bells, and he created a mechanism that he actually sounded these bells with an electrical charge to get them ringing, and then he would dip them into water vessels, and he would boil the water with the sound of the bell. And so that's one of the most powerful images that you can see, that a ringing bell can boil water. And it has to do with the actual frequency and the way it affects the water molecules. Okay, so that's one thing. There's also lots of different areas where you can find what is the vibrational frequencies elevating or lifting devices with sound. And there's a number of things on YouTube where you can go and visit that too, where they actually have sound chambers where they levitate devices using sound. So the most important thing about this work is that we can't see this. This is invisible. And so we don't give it the power that it deserves. We don't understand the power of the frequency. So one of the studies that I sent Roland some pictures of that I'd like to share with you is a study done by Dr. Fabien Mamong. And Dr. Fabien Mamong did most of his studies in Paris because at the time the United States wouldn't allow him to do the work here, but he had both a scientific study program there, and he had a holistic hospital that he worked out of, where he was treating cancer using sound. And what he did was he took, go to the other one first, Roland. That's it, okay? So this particular slide that you're looking at, this is a slide of cancer cells, HeLa cancer cells, and what he was doing in these slides is a 20-minute process in each slide that you'll see. He was taking the sound or the frequency of the cancer cell, and he was feeding it back into the cancer cell. And what was happening was, if you look in the first set of slides, the cell at the very back of the slide is getting larger. The one at the front isn't changing very much. That's actually an acoustic guitar that he was using there to feed the frequency back in. The way that this works, it's like a woman breaking a glass with her voice. If you feed the exact frequency back into the frequency pattern, and you overwhelm it, you get too much of the same frequency in one small area, it becomes unstable. And if a woman does that with her voice, she'll ping the glass, get the exact note, and then sound that note back into the glass. It will vibrate. It will begin to vibrate until it is overwhelmed by the amount of frequency, and it will shatter. And that's what he was trying to accomplish with the instruments while he was affecting these cells. So in the first set of slides that you see there, what he found was the acoustic guitar was affecting the older cancer cells. So the cancer cells that weren't quite as strong as the young ones. In the next set of slides, that's the xylophone. The xylophone is a stronger timbre instrument. It has more power to it, more guts, if you will. And that's what the crystal bowls are like also. It's a sharper sound. The crystal bowls are very pure, direct sounds, and so they're very powerful to work with. That's what the xylophone was doing. As you can see, the cell has almost dissipated in that particular slide. Now, he did a lot more instruments. I'm only showing you 2 there, and then the last slide that Roland has. This was the most powerful instrument that he had, and that is, Roland, if you can put up the other slide now, that's the human voice. What he uncovered, if you look at that cell, these are all done over a 20-minute process. Look at the difference and how that cell has almost completely disseminated. It is almost completely dissolved by human voice. Now, the most powerful thing that I want you to know is that the human voice carries a personal resonance for you. So your voice, in and of itself, has a DNA coding that reflects your DNA healing process. And that coding within your own voice is your designated healing process. And so your voice carries the magic to change your body, your world, and everything about you. So if we take that information, now we can begin to move forward with why frequency work really works and how it affects us. Every single thing on the planet is energy. All energy has a frequency. All frequencies vibrate, and the vibration makes a sound. Okay? The sound is the starting point of creation. And your voice is the most powerful tool on the planet. And this was one of the wisdoms and one of the magic pieces that was stolen from us very, very young in our cultural histories. So this is the piece I want you to have back, and this is a piece that I'm excited to bring because I know what it's capable of. What I ended up finding in my own work is that if I made the sound of the bowl that was resonating with the bone tissue myself, that I could feel what I was feeling in my leg when the cells were responding to it, I could feel that throughout my entire body. And so I literally got my whole body on board to help heal that aspect of myself. And this is when the major healing happens, is that when you're totally in tune with it. And it's one of the things that we don't really know how to do. It's like, I want you to be able to begin to view your world through the eyes of spirit or frequency rather than through your physical eyes. And I know that sounds a little strange, but I'm going to give you some ideas on how to actually do that. Okay? In order for us to be able to see frequency, is what I typically call it, is that we get to see the frequency, is that the first rule is we have to get completely connected with our body again. We have to feel everything. Frequency comes through us through emotional hits. That's the first physical sensation that comes from the electromagnetic field or from the frequency realm to align us with what we need. And this is a cultural problem for us. You know, we are afraid to feel. We're even afraid to feel too good. You know, don't feel too much of anything because that's not okay. Culturally, it's been driven into us. Other people don't really want to know how you feel. Other people don't want that kind of honesty. You know, you just say, "Oh, I'm having a great day. How about you?" You know, and then we move on. And so we're totally out of integrity with who we are. And it's not that I'm not saying to you, go to your neighbor and complain about everything that's going wrong in your world. You know, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, don't lie. You know, don't lie. If you're having a kind of down day, say, man, you know, I'm really trying to pick myself because I've had a crappy morning. You know, you got anything to help me get there? I mean, maybe your neighbor has some good information for you. You know.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you briefly because I wanted to comment about 10 minutes ago.
Okay,
and,
sure.
And I know that you definitely know your stuff, and it goes, you know, very prolifically from you. But you mentioned the sound and resonance and stuff, and I wanted to give an example of what people can experience in real life relative to that resonance, because people have a resonant frequency. Each individual has a resonant frequency of his or her own. Buildings and trees, everything has a resonant frequency. One of the examples I wanted to give is if you stand in a domed room, a room that has a round top to it, if it's made out of concrete especially or something solid, the room will have a resonant frequency. And the way I discovered that was I stood in a domed room and I realized, oh, there's an echo, clap, clap, and you could hear this echo, right? And so I started singing in the room. But then as I was going up and down the scale, I hit this one note, and I held it for a while, and the whole room began to resound like a bell, and just from my voice. And that apparently is the resonant frequency that the room was responding to, and I found it so that there's a certain frequency that it vibrates and it magnifies the sound that you generate in that frequency.
Yes.
And so it's evident to us everywhere, whether we can sense it or not. Everything has a resonant frequency, not just domed rooms. So you were mentioning another thing. Oh, well, by the way, WeWake was making a comment earlier about the. I think it takes at least 21 days to rewire our our neurons. And so what you say has been proved by brain surgeons as well, Shira. So we're getting confirmation that other people have heard this, of course, and it's not so foreign to our understanding. But I'll let you go again, and we can talk about some things. But it brings to mind that everything that we're talking about is alignment of vibrations. So one of the things that I was hoping you'd hit upon later on is how does that alignment within ourselves have to do or relationship with feeling good?
Ah, beautiful. Okay, so that's a powerful question, and I'm going to share something with you. I'm just going to hold this up in front of the camera for a minute. This is actually a frequency wheel that I created, and what you just said about the resonant frequency, you actually just kind of spoke it yourself without knowing that you did. Okay, each one of us are born with a resonant frequency. Okay, and ultimately there are mathematical equations that we can break down into frequency tones, and those tones are related to the dates and times that we were born based on the planetary alignments and what this frequency wheel is. And if anybody who's listening today wants a copy of this, feel free to email me and I'll send you a copy of the frequency wheel if you like. What the frequency wheel has on it is it will align like your astrological sign with a note. And that's the easiest way for people to find their resonant frequency. And the reason that that note is important is that everyone has a resonant frequency based on the date that they were born. And that frequency comforts you. It's nurturing. And so if you're feeling kind of down, you know how you said earlier, Roland, that we can hum or sing and it makes us feel better?
Right.
That's because, yeah, that piece opens the heart chakra. Now, I've figured this out doing voice printing, where I don't let people sing on voice prints because we're manipulating the voice when we sing. But because I was curious about it, because it's something that I hit on accidentally, I started testing people with that. We'll do a voice print, and then I have them sing. And if people who were really struggling with the heart frequency, when they'd sing, their heart chakra was full of frequency. It would open wide up. So when we sing, the heart chakra opens. That makes us come into a kind of balanced state, a peaceful, balanced state, and that comforts us. But if we sing our resonant note, the note that is associated with us from our birth time, it's really nurturing and it's really supportive for us. So oftentimes I will tell people, find that note. And typically people like to go online to a virtual keyboard or a toning device and find the note, but I have found that if you would just get quiet, get still, go inside and ask your body to bring it, it'll bring your frequency note for you. It will, and I know that sounds weird, but it happens on time, on target every time when I ask people to do it. So your body knows, and if you can trust that, you can figure out what tone actually resonates with you in such a way that it will make you feel full and whole and happy. And then typically I'll sing in that key, or I'll go into a meditative state and hum that sound, or do a vowel sound with that sound. A vowel sound that feels good to me. Ah, ooh, oh, whatever it is. Trust. It's kind of like what you did in the room when you hit that resonant frequency. Test a few. Just try a few out. See what it feels like to you. And a certain one will feel better than the others. Go with that. Go with that and realign your frequencies so that you feel better. So that's one of the powerful things that people don't really know they have. Go for it, Roland.
So I know that I've got a question that I want to ask. I'll try to remember what it is, but next we're going to hear from George, who had something to offer.
Yeah,
Okay?
there's one thing that hit me just now when we're talking about trust, and it's such a fundamental part of the place we're all in now, right now, with this huge energetic shift that's going on. When we talk about what is the positive, we have to have faith, and which is trust to me. It's just another hat that it wears. We've got to have a trust that there is a positive element available to us there. And I think if we don't have that, that's where it's very difficult to get into that positive space. That's basically where my head took me.
Cool. You know what I think that's about, George, is that this lack of being able to feel, the fear of feeling. You know, we've shoved them down for so long that when they come up, they make us feel uncomfortable. You know, even feeling really too good feels uncomfortable sometimes. You know, and so part of what we have to do is we have to get back into alignment with being real with ourselves, and that's a little scary given that we've been wearing the masks and playing the roles most of our lives. And I mean, for those of us, you know, that are pushing the 60 mark, that's a lot of years. so
Pushing the which mark?
I'm sorry?
Pushing the which mark?
The 60 mark? Okay, so some of you may be past that. Good for you. Hallelujah. It's all good. But I feel like, you know, no matter where we are in it, we've all been trained as little children to keep it quiet. You know, the old children should be seen and not heard. And, I mean, I know. I could still hear my mother's voice if I tune into it. Would you please quit crying? We don't have time for that. It's like, oh, Mom, I'm hurt. You know, it's like she had 9 kids. She had no time for you know, a blubbering child. It's like, be quiet. So I learned that if I really wanted to feel valued, I needed to be good, and I needed to be quiet. I needed to follow the rules. That's what was valuable. So it didn't matter how I felt. And most of us learned that. And so now we don't even know how to really feel. Most of us, we have to like get back in touch with that. Yeah.
Should be seen and not heard, right?
Yeah. You know, there was.
Silent.
Yeah. My mother used to have a lot of language around that. You're just talking to hear your head rattle. Just shut up. It's like we all learn it differently, but we all learn that what we feel is not really valuable, that doing it right is the valuable thing. And we've got to get back in alignment with the truth of what we feel, because, you know, we also have all these rules around you shouldn't feel sad in public, you shouldn't feel angry in public, you shouldn't, you know, none of that is allowed. And so, I'm sorry, we're supposed to feel it all. We're human. That's why we came into this body, for the experience. And sometimes the experience is sad and grief and, you know, fear. And sometimes it's joy and bliss and excitement. And we're here for all of it. So we have to first come into right relationship with that piece. There's a little tool that I use because listen, I was as broken around that as everybody else when I first started doing this work, you know, and I had to learn how to feel what was coming up for me and be in integrity with it too. And something that I did that helped me learn was I put on a song that would have maybe 3 or 4 different instruments, maybe a vocal, maybe not, but a good drum track. And so I would have so you'd have all of these merging instruments, and I would lay down and get still. And then I would focus on just one instrument in the array of music. And I would focus on where that one instrument, where I felt it in my body. Now, if you try this, you'll be really amazed. If you will just stay with it and be still with it, you'll be really amazed that each instrument in that track will touch you differently in different areas of your body. It will make you feel things. It might change your breathing. It might change, like, it might relax your back and neck. It might energize and raise your heartbeat. It'll do all kinds of things to you, but you'll feel it in different areas of your body. And that's one way to begin to see frequency. That's one way to begin to reconnect with it. You know, there's lots of tools. And that little trick that you did was sounding in the room, Roland, that's another one. You know, one place that has a lot of good resonance because of the showers are bathrooms. A lot of times bathrooms are good. So go in there and do what Roland did, and do the scale up and down, and find a note that just lights you up in there, and stay with it and watch how it makes you feel. You know, sometimes if you really connect with that, it'll trigger and release things in you that have been hiding for years that you're ready to move on from. You know, frequency work is really powerful. It can light up a lot of different things. So
That's very interesting. I wanted to interject. Um, Wake was mentioning something about mantras and chanting, and that also brought up the concept of the word for the. I believe the Hindu religion uses the Om sound when they hum the Om, and they extend that out for a long period of time. How do you relate to that and that strategy and technique?
I think that there are so many tools, and different ones resonate with different people. I love mantras and chanting. We have a frequency group that meets. We call it Human Voices. It meets once a month, and we all get together and we sound together. It's a ton of fun. It's a lot of new exploration. People bring ideas. We have a healing circle there. And one of the things that we'll typically do in the group is we'll pull a mantra during the night, and we'll all mantra together. Now, I think one of the really powerful things that, is it Wake, is that his name?
Yeah.
Was referring to, is that to me, when you pull up an ancient mantra that's been around forever, this is the field, how we're all connected, the power of that mantra, and the thousands, maybe millions of people who have sounded that mantra over and over and over again. It's almost as though it is embedded in those sounds. And so it can ignite things in you because we're all connected through that field. We are actually getting like an energy boost, if you will, off of the integrity of those tones that has been created with thousands and thousands of people coming together in them.
So everything is attached to whatever sound that they're
You locked up.
expressing.
Start over because I didn't actually
Sorry.
hear. It's okay.
You know, the idea of the mantras and singing and the sound, they have a specific meaning and an intention behind the sound that they're making. They have an intention and a thought that they are all joining in. And since we have already gone over this before in prior episodes, what is a positive thought is energy. So if you get a bunch of people doing the same chant or mantra and they're focusing on this mantra and the intention and the thought together, that becomes a powerful universal thing. And it's, you know, we are aligning ourselves, but we are also expanding this resonance in the universe. So I can see where the mantras are really a helpful thing. But even from the standpoint of, you know, when I was 13 or 14, I picked up the guitar, and by 15, I was starting my first bands. I was playing at college parties when I was 16, you know, and should I say drinking underage? Okay, but you know, you do stupid things when you're kids, but I got into a rock band. So here I am playing rock and roll music, the Beatles, Creedence Clearwater and stuff, and I was in my stuff, you know. I was like really feeling good with that, and
Yes.
so throughout my life I've been in bands and playing guitar and singing a lot, and then we got into clubs and I became a disc jockey, and we a lot of times had karaoke. So I became a better vocalist by doing karaoke like 5 nights a week, and I still own my own karaoke system here at the house. So music plays a part in everyone's lives so intensively, and we don't even think about it. We hardly even think about it, but it's all about feeling good, and the good vibrations that we get from placing ourselves within the environment of music that we are attracted to and that we love.
Yeah. And ultimately, that is one of the easiest ways to shift your frequency. If you're feeling a little down, a little crappy, a little angry, a little frustrated, pull out your favorite old song, you know, the one that makes you want to get up and move, put it on and do that. Get up and move to it, and you will shift your frequency so fast it will make your head swim. You know, the hard thing is that many times culturally we hang on to the crap. It's like we take that emotion and we build on it and we tell stories and we make it worse, and so before you know it, it's like we can't get out of it. It's like we're stuck in it. So we have to make a conscious choice. I don't want to feel crappy anymore. I want to feel better. I'm going to do something. The minute you make that choice, you're already shifting the frequency. And then do something like that that's really empowering, that's really uplifting to you. I'll tell you what, there's a statement, a really powerful frequency statement. Simple, simple, simple. I am. Anything that you put after I am, if you put something crappy after it, you're going to do yourself in with it. Yeah. If you put something amazing and wonderful behind it, and as you were saying earlier, and you focus on that frequency, it will change your world. It will change your world. You know, it's a dedication. That's one of the things with the work that I do. I insist that my clients, my students, anybody who does this work, they do it daily. But they commit to 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes is not a big amount of your time. The easy thing about it is you don't even have to be conscious when you're doing it. Isn't that lovely? You know, you can put it on and go to sleep at night. And sleep studies show us anything that you are listening to or thinking about right as you fall into the theta brainwave state, right as you go into deep sleep, it reiterates itself for about 3 or 4 hours in your sleep. So I tell my clients, you don't have 20 minutes to give to yourself? Fine, put this on when you go to bed at night. In about 21 days, you'll have 20 minutes. We can start again from there. Now, that'll be the first thing that shifts for you. You'll be important enough to take 20 minutes out of your day to be with your frequencies, you know. So that's one of the first things. You know, I do that, as you know. That little CD that you got is based on your voice print. The voice print. Yes.
Yeah, we ought to show everybody what this is. That I get my own personalized CD. My name is on it, and the soundtracks that you generated are all recorded on this. You sent this to me, and this is brand new. I've been listening to other ones, like maybe 4 or 5 months now, and I literally go to bed with this music in my head or hanging on the bed rail right next to my ears every single night. And I know that it's having an effect on me. I'm actually feeling stronger and doing things. My vocal range is more versatile and succinct. I'm learning how to sing all over again. And my right leg is becoming stronger. I'm actually standing beside my wheelchair a few seconds longer and balancing. I've experienced strength in my right leg that actually holds my body up. And I took a step without realizing it. The other day, I stood up and I actually put all my weight on my right leg, and I stepped with my left leg, and I said, "Wait a minute, did I just do that?" You know, so I'm surprising myself, and it's becoming second nature. I'm actually getting stronger. Cool. And so
isn't that the thing that we
say what, George?
I think that's one of the things that always caught my attention about this work. That people start it and they'll do the toning every day or listen to the tracks, and then they'll catch themselves doing or saying something that's what they class as out of character. That's your first hint that it's starting to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's one of the things that helps you get past the mindsets that have kept you in those stasis areas too. It's like there's a magic to catching yourself doing something new. Oh my gosh, something's changing. You know, and now there's a wonder about it, and you begin to reach for something changing rather than being with what you have, so to speak. You know, the other thing I want people to know too is that, you know, each, like the frequencies, what you're talking about, you get frequency tracks based on what frequencies you need and what was depleted in your print, okay? Every single area of your body has a resonant note. Okay, so your body is a symphony of all sounds, basically, but certain areas of your body, and you can either look at those as chakra systems, or you can look at those as body parts. Because I'm a nurse, and because I also have esoteric teachings and I do frequency and energy work, I see it as all of the above. Like if a person doesn't know about the chakra systems, then I go right to the body part. You know, the root chakra, it's at the base, it's at the perineum, it's at the pelvic floor. That governs your feet, your legs, your lower hips. It governs things like excretion. It walks hand in hand with the sacral chakra, which is also governing the sexual organs. So we can go into the physical aspect, or we can go into the energetic aspect. The note is C. And that's also the note that is the frequency of bone. It's a structure note. Okay, and so ultimately, those kinds of pieces of information can help people if they're having problems in certain areas of their body. There are free videos on the website. They can go to Vibrationally Sound and they can look at those videos. Those videos are related to each frequency, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B. They'll tell you where in the body they actually are associated with. They'll tell you what the energy systems are. They'll tell you what some of the common problems are. And then they'll tell you things that you can do to work with those. So that's an easy thing for people. If they're really interested in learning more, they can go to the website and get free information around that.
You know, this is good. I want to show this briefly. This is one of the handouts that you sent with the CD, and give everybody a brief look at this. And I know it's hard to see and make sense of, but basically it's talking about the frequency of F, the color green corresponding apparently to the frequency of F, and you talk about some different ways to support the heart chakra, and this is apparently determined by this F note, right, and the heart chakra. Okay,
and
so singing.
Go ahead.
Singing opens the heart chakra. Listening to music in the key of F, wearing green clothes, get a hand massage, and you've got a whole list of things that correspond to this reinforcing and the opening, the supporting of the heart chakra and the key of F. So, but I've got 3 sheets here concerning different focus points and different keys. So we should talk more about that sometime. But one thing before I let you go is I wanted you to address the idea that, well, first of all, it was very interesting to see. You know, everyone knows what middle C is supposed to be on the piano, and the fact that the entire scale is basically based on the starting point of the middle C. Yeah. And I found that very interesting. But when we're determining our own frequencies and the keys that we should focus on, could you address the concept of the A440 versus the A424 and the fact that we are so much out of tune that our music is out of tune just a little bit?
Yeah, this is Alan Howarth, Howarth. He's the one who did the research on this, and I include that in my level 1 classes because it's so powerful. Is that 440 tuning was originally created by the military, and it was a way of keeping everything kind of sharp and on edge and alive. So it was a way of keeping the military troops awake and moving forward. The problem with it is that 440 tuning is out of resonance with our body tuning. Our body tuning is in resonance with the earth, which is 424 tuning. Now there's 2 different types of really ancient mathematical equations that create these tuning scales. One is the Solfeggio and one is Ra. Now Solfeggio is 432, Ra is 424. What Alan Howarth has discovered between those 2 is that the Solfeggio, he believes, is more associated with plants, and the 424 is associated with animal. So 424 is what we as physical human bodies are in alignment with. So when we listen to music, which is the majority of the music that is being sold and on the radios and that we pick up in our local stores, is in 444 tuning, it pulls us a little sharp. It stretches us and it makes us a little tense. So all the tracks that I use in my treatment have been done in 424 tuning or have been transposed into 424 tuning. And so that way what you're getting is in perfect alignment with the cellular content of your physical body, so it can get you all the way into a relaxed state for good healing.
And I can really reinforce that by saying when I put my headphones on or if I hang the sound next to my head when I go to sleep, I sleep so well. And I think that if people have problems sleeping, this is the kind of therapy that would actually assist them in getting a good night's sleep. And so much of your health is dependent upon getting a good night's sleep. And I know a lot of people that have problems getting that good night's sleep, and it reflects in their entire day. So
That's one of the first things that I hear from most of my clients. Oh my God, I slept like a rock when I started listening to this stuff. I haven't had that kind of sleep in ages. I hear that from everyone. And I think that the body needs that relaxation, and we don't have a lot of tools in our daily life that take us there. You
Hey,
know?
Shira,
go ahead, George.
one thing I'd like Shira to mention during the classes where we play the two samples of 440 and then 424, that piece with the violin, because that to me is a classic example of the different way people receive that.
When we're waking people up to that 424 frequency in class, we'll take a track straight out of the box, so to speak, the way it was produced in the studio at 440 tuning, and we'll play about a minute of it. We'll play a piece of it for them, and then the sound will stop, and the exact same track will come on, transposed in 424. And when a person, I ask people to get very, very still, close their eyes to listen with everything in their being, not just their ears, because it affects everybody differently. When they hear the differences between those two tracks, one behind the other, they immediately understand what the differences are for them. And a lot of people, I've had people burst out crying when they hear the 424 track. And I've heard people, say, oh my God, I felt the first one here. I felt the second one here. This one relaxed and opened me up. That one made me feel kind of tight and tense. So everybody responds differently to it, but it's a really powerful tool for people to just experience the differences.
Cool. So before I go on further, because we're going to be winding up the show in a few minutes, Carlo, did you have something to add to the experience of what we've been talking about today?
Sure. First of all, Shira, really got my money's worth.
I'll be sending you a bill.
Okay. Yeah, you acknowledge, yeah. No, seriously, yes, really got my money's worth. Let me add some of my thoughts to that. One of my avocations in life is prolonged meditation. And that vibration, those vibrations that we emanate, is the reason that centuries ago we were able to take wind and gut instruments and create them into drums, violins, flutes, because the inner being wanted to express that. As a meditator withdraws its consciousness to the higher realms, that vibration, that sound begins to come from, many people think it's tinnitus in their ears, or without being a Bibleist, in a non-sectarian sense, it says you'll hear a wind and you know not where it comes from. That essence, that sound, gets finer and finer and finer until it passes all those ranges that you speak of, and then it becomes pure light. And if you're lucky and you're not afraid, you could, if you're lucky, break the silver cord and not have to be here. So, bravo to what you're doing. I really support what you're doing. I really got my dollars worth.
Thank you. And thank you for those wisdoms. It's true.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're exactly adding to the concept of the value of what we just presented, but no, it's priceless because a lot of people don't realize what's going on, and they hear what we're discussing, and they say, oh yeah, I've experienced something about what you're discussing. Oh yeah, I'm aware of this, I'm aware of that. But there have been therapies from the beginning of time, and either from music instruments, percussion things, or voice, and all of these things definitely have an influence on the physical body. One of the things that I wanted to mention was the Egyptians had temples that were designed around music therapy, and they actually, they don't really talk about it. They might talk about it from the standpoint of, oh yeah, they had temples for music, but they don't describe that it was for healing. They actually had temples designed with proper instruments and specialty musicians that would take care of people and heal people in the temple. That was what it was for. And I had never heard that talked about in any environment. What's that,
Oh, yeah.
Shira?
What you were talking about earlier, how you hit a resonant sound, that's how those things were created. They were created in the kind of frequencies that would bring harmonic resonance back to the physical body, given certain frequency parallels. So, like you said, either instruments or sometimes it was just voice. They would sound certain frequencies off the walls, get the room resonating with them, and it would wash the body clean, frequency-wise. So yeah, it's a powerful work. And that's what I
So
mean. We just don't know about these things.
I'm reasonably sure that they probably designed the room specifically to resonate at a certain frequency. So the dimensions, the shape of the room, the size, the actual material that it was made out of are all very, very critical as they were doing these specialty temples.
Right. That's what Alan Howarth discovered in the ancient runes. He started in the pyramids of Egypt, but he traveled the world. And the equations that they were taking in specialty equipment, bouncing sounds off the walls, getting back equations, breaking them down. That's where he discovered the 424 tuning. All the ancient runes were built the same way. And he was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, he was going, what's going on here? These guys knew something we don't know, you know? And it lit him up. So he was in research for years. He's got some wonderful stuff on his website about it. Really powerful stuff.
Very cool. Well, we are officially 6 minutes over, but we cannot end this session without doing one thing that I think that was the first thing that I mentioned that we would like to do. And what's really odd is we have a freeze going on with Carlo and George. And I'm not exactly sure why and that along with the echo that we're doing now. But
I just changed
anyway,
the studio.
Okay, so what we're gonna do right now, maybe you could turn your mic off just for a moment and then and you turn it on just a second.
Sure.
Okay, and basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna be wrapping up the program, but the sound therapy is something that we're treating ourselves in some way, some shape or form all the time. If we're talking to people, we're visiting with people, we're listening to music, we're driving down a noisy freeway, guess what? It is all therapy and it's all sound affecting our bodies. So the idea is to get intentional about the therapy that you bring upon yourself or that you apply to yourself. And that's what vibrational therapy, as what Shira brings, is to do for the body, because it's strategic sound therapy, not just sound. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Shira use the singing bowl as requested by Gail, and we're going to show you exactly one of the instruments that she uses to create her own services in sound therapy. Go ahead, Shira.
Great. Thank you, Roland. Okay, so what I'd like to ask is that as you're listening to this crystal bowl and some frequency overlay, that you be very, very aware of your breath. On the inhale, receive. Receive whatever it is that is appropriate for you from the frequencies. And then on the exhale, I want you to release a gentle ah. And you don't have to do it out loud. It can be inside. So whatever makes you comfortable.
Wow. I don't know if anybody else did this, but I picked a note that I would normally do an ohm in, and I was not harmonizing. I was joining the note that you of the bowl itself, and then I noticed that you were harmonizing, which brings a different dimension to the whole thing. But harmony is just such a tremendous thing, and it's explicative. I mean, it's really demonstrative of what being out of harmony with the world is like, and being in harmony with the world is like, and being in harmony sounds and feels so much better. And so we're boiling it down to what is the positive about this whole thing. If we're doing this properly and we're applying the things that make the difference, we're feeling better. And in most cases, when people go through your therapy, Shira, they say that they feel better. And that's the whole point of it all, because if you're feeling better, that's the energy you're putting out to the universe. That's the energy that you're going to get back. Because guess what? That's the way it works. And one of the universal laws is that the energy that you put out, the thoughts that you put out, generate your experience for tomorrow.
And
And
the body,
immediately following. Go ahead, Shira.
I was just going to say, the body's goal is harmony. The body's goal is to get itself back into harmonic resonance. It is constantly, with all the stuff that's bombarding us, it is constantly working to keep us balanced, to keep us harmonic. And as you say, when we get there, it feels wonderful. It feels wonderful. And that's the goal for all of us, I think, is that no matter what the world presents to us, that we step forward into it from a harmonic resonance so that we can feel the peace within it all.
So, when we talk about our purpose in life and why we are here, and basically when we analyze that and we are questioning the reason that we are alive and living and what our purpose in life is, if we start out by the concept of feeling better, feeling good, and joy, and start with that, we cannot lose. It's going to be, the result is going to be the positive thing that we are trying to achieve. Even though we're sitting back and struggling with it and worried about life and we're angry that things don't go our way, we are really putting the cart before the horse when we respond to life that way. Because what's happening is when we join our vibrations to the anger and the fear and those negative things, that's what we are resonating then. We are actually resonating with the thoughts of negativity, anger, fear, etc. And when we think it and we resonate it, we feel it, you can tell, because you don't feel good. So
Yes.
the idea is, with what is the positive, is you turn towards the thing that makes you feel better. That you turn towards the thought and the feelings and whatever feels better. That's what it is. And as George says, yes, like attracts like. That which is likened to itself is drawn. In which case, if you're feeling better, guess what you bring into your life?
Yes.
More feelings of feeling better.
You know
So,
what? We can end with something you started with, Roland, that thoughts are energy, they are frequency, they are a creative process. So that what you just said is so powerful. If a person's thoughts are given to something negative, sad, angry, hostile, then they are literally resonating with war, tsunamis, tornadoes. They are creating the energy that we see as destructive and painful. And you're going to be thinking something in every moment. So if you can become aware of that and you can bring your thoughts into a higher resonance by thinking something, at the very least, I'm open to peace on the planet. That's a step higher, than some negative, angry emotion. I'm open to feeling peace. That's enough. That's enough for the start. But that makes us part of the love, the healing, the well-being, the sustainable way of life on this planet. So we get to choose in every moment what frequency we are being a part of in the whole of this organism.
one of the highest statements that I can think of is when Jesus replies to his constituents, love is the answer. And if we just, not analyze it, not think about it, but just say, okay, love is the answer. So does it feel like you're applying love to the concept? Does it feel like you're bringing love to a situation or to other people or to yourself?
Yes.
If you're doing that, you're at the best starting point. And as we are turning looking for the better ways, we have to navigate through life. And we're going to get handed some twists and turns and some difficult challenges from time to time. But we have to always think, in spite of whatever condition we're in, what is the positive, and turn towards what's bright and light and shiny and more loving. So, on behalf of my constituents in the green room, I would like to say goodbye and thank you very much, people, for following us from one place to another as we try to navigate the Google Hangouts. Thank you very much. Thank you for your contributions. I value your participation and your ideas, and thanks for contributing to what is the positive today. Thank you very much. We'll say good night, or actually good day. Some of you will be good night. We'll see you. Bye-bye.